we're going to rank the top rookie wide receivers in this 2023 draft class. Obviously, last year we saw a nice wide receiver class, very deep, lots of star power, so we're hoping for a repeat of that this year, and we're going to look into these wide receivers today. We're going to go through and rank them into tiers. But first, make sure you like the video. It's free, it's easy, and you press a button, it goes bloop, and then you feel all good about yourself, and it makes us feel good. So make sure you like the video, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 2K before draft day.
Rhymes.
Yep. That means people are automatically going to subscribe.
It'll work every year too.
So
10K.
I know we could do it for every single 1,000.
K.
Make sure you like and subscribe, please, and make sure you check out our locals page where all of our exclusive content is, our rankings, ADP data, exclusive live streams. All of our analysts are on there, so make sure you jump on there, get access to that as well. Since we're talking about rookies, we got to get the rookie guy. JC is on with us today. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at JCJ Dynasty. A great follow with lots of good rookie analytics. JC, what is up, my man? Are you ready for draft day?
Bloop. Yeah, 2K before draft day. Let's go. Let's do it.
All right, let's get into this. So, no surprise. There he is. Jackson Smith in Jigba. It's something about the hyphenated last name. But we've been telling you this whole time, this whole process. We started hitting this process hard really like in January. And the whole time we've been telling you, JSN is that good. He's in a tier of his own, and we've been calling our shot the whole time. Our shot's looking pretty good. There's a lot of buzz now about how JSN is this good wide receiver and he's special, and we're like
that was a surprise.
Interesting about that. That's very interesting. And honestly, we still are in the habit of tweeting out defensive JSN, and now people are confused. Like, why are you defending JSN? Everybody likes him. Well, because 3 months ago there were people that were saying because he didn't play this year that he wasn't maybe going to be a first-round pick. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when people were saying JSN wasn't going to go in the first round. Like that was a legit thing people were saying 2 months ago. Am I right? Like you remember that, right?
You're right.
So yeah, that's why we're defending JSN. But getting closer to the draft, obviously we called our shot. Like JSN, you obviously know about his skill set. Came out, tested well. The 40 is what it was, and the quickness was elite quickness and a change of direction, and that's where he wins. So he looked really good in his testing. Obviously his measurables were all fine, and now he's looking to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. Jeremy, I'm curious to know from you your thoughts on JSN and how high he could go potentially in Superflex Dynasty rookie drafts.
Yeah, I think you hit it pretty much on the head in terms of profile and his ability as an athlete. I think he's a locked and loaded first-round pick in the NFL draft. And then I think for Superflex drafts, depending on where he goes, obviously, and where some of these quarterbacks go, I think you can make the argument as soon as 103 that JSN's off the board. You assume whatever quarterback gets taken 101 and Bijan Robinson are the first two picks off the board. If you're not a fan of the two landing spots of the other quarterbacks, or if you're not a Bryce Young or an Anthony Richardson or a CJ Stroud guy in particular, JSN is probably the best prospect in this class outside of those guys for rookie drafts. So I think 103 is in real consideration for him.
I'm not going to be honest. I'm going to be honest here. I'm not going to be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Rookie wise, when I'm thinking about like the overall rankings of how maybe I would take these guys in a Superflex draft, the way my mind has been thinking recently is obviously Bijan at the front, interchangeable with Anthony Richardson, and then JSN right after.
Yeah.
I look, in a Superflex league, like I absolutely understand
upside.
taking the quarterback, and I get that, and I absolutely understand the importance of that. But and you're not going to hear more importance of Superflex leagues than on this show. But, I mean, JSN, to me, especially when he locks up that draft capital, I think is as close to a sure thing as you're going to get from a wide receiver in leagues now in a dynasty setting where wide receivers are being hyper valued. I mean, you get a wide receiver that booms like that, and, I mean, it's not only super valuable to your team, but also, your portfolio of investing value-wise in dynasty, wide receivers maintain their value so well. I mean, I think it's almost a foolproof investment at the 103. So, JSN, obviously, you know what he is. That he's the guy now, and we're happy that we stuck to that all the way through. We're going to move on to Tier 2 here, Tier A, and that's going to be Quentin Johnson and Jordan Addison. So I'll let you talk about Quentin Johnson a little bit here, but talk about where you could see him potentially going in the NFL draft, why his skill set and his combine results are going to translate well to whatever NFL team drafts him.
Yeah, so Quentin Johnson, I think, is really with the slight fall that Jordan Addison has taken in terms of draft stock and value right now. I think Quentin Johnson has solidified himself as a wide receiver 2 in this class. And I think it's pretty much without question. You can make an argument that he's even a tier above Addison just because of that, because I really don't think they're interchangeable at this point. QJ was a little bit smaller than we assumed he was going to be going into the combine. 6'3", 208, I think is what he measured out at. Didn't run the 40 or anything, which was kind of disappointing. I wanted to see what he could do there, but again, it's not that big of a deal for a wide receiver of his size, especially. Production, his junior year of college at TCU was great. 60 receptions on 96 targets, over 1,000 yards and 6 receiving touchdowns. Nothing out of this world. But I mean, any of you guys that watched him this past season and saw their deep run into the college football playoff knew that he's legit, and there's going to be a team in the first round that wants to bite on him. He's definitely your traditional big body receiver that's going to win contested catches. And is going to be that deep threat on the sideline that, you know, you can throw back shoulders to, and you can trust him to make the grab. So I think the biggest concern with him going into the NFL is going to be that he's a little bit unpolished as a true receiver when it comes to catching the ball. Some people have accused him of kind of being a body catcher. That's something I think you can kind of work out of him. It's not like TCU is known for their development of receivers, you know, it's not wide receiver U there or anything. So I think that's something you can definitely work out of him for sure. I'm a fan of him in terms of landing spot and where he's going to go in the draft. I'm going to be conservative with his landing spot. I think he's going to go anywhere from 20 to 25. Yeah. I think if he cracks top 20, good for him. But right now, I think there's going to be some teams in the 20 to 25 area that are going to like him and his skill set. I mean, you're looking at the Chargers, you're looking at the Seahawks, the New York Giants. I really like any receiver in the first round of the Giants, but those are kind of the ones I'm looking at.
Yeah. Jordan Addison also in this tier. You know, with Jordan Addison, there are a lot of people that really dropped him in their rankings after his combine performance. And look, I mean, I'm not going to stand at the top of the hill and say I know every formula for, you know, the correlation between combine performance and how well they do in the NFL and how that should affect their draft stock, etc. I have heard from people that know more than me that his combine results kind of are what they were, and it shouldn't drop him a whole lot. Probably still leaning on the side of being a first-round receiver, almost surely, in my opinion. Obviously, production-wise, you know, especially when he was at Pitt, but even this last year, there was nothing. He really didn't leave anything to be desired from a production standpoint. He showed what he's capable of when he played with Kenny Pickett, and obviously Kenny Pickett was a big part of that. But at the same time, you know, I think the concerns people have are with the athleticism, a 4.49 40. He had like a 1.56 10-yard split there, and a 34-inch vertical, which, I mean, to me isn't that bad in a 10-2 broad jump. Jeremy, are you concerned about his athleticism, and do you still think he is a sure thing to go in the first round in the NFL draft?
Well, I thought that he would be a little faster straight line-wise in the 40. I don't think it's the end-all, be-all for Jordan Addison. You can see in his game that he still creates separation because he is such a good route runner. I think he's still a first-round pick. I think you could definitely make the conversation that there's been a lot of mock drafts that have Jordan Addison as the wide receiver 1 off the board. So that seems to be the NFL teams are still very high on Jordan Addison, regardless of what he did at the combine. And I think he's put it on tape from an analytic perspective that his profile is up there with Jerry Jeudy and Devonta Smith when they were coming out of college. And, you know, I'm not saying that he plays exactly the same as those two guys, but those are two highly touted wide receiver talents, and his profile lines up fairly similarly, if not clears those two guys.
Yeah, 100% agree. And honestly, I think you kind of mentioned it there, but the route running is, for me, where he kind of sets himself apart from the other receivers behind him, and that's a reason why he's still in this second tier with Quentin Johnson. And the mock drafts, again, draft capital is going to be king. If he does get first round draft capital like we expect him to, there really can't be an argument to drop him any lower than this. So, all right, Zay Flowers. Jeremy, I'll let you take over and cover Zay Flowers here a little bit.
Man, I really like Zay Flowers. I just saw Chris Sims has him as his wide receiver 1 in the class. I know Travis May on Twitter is a big Zay Flowers guy. He's big. He works over at Mojo doing like the stock market stuff for Dynasty assets. It's hard to watch him and not think immediately Antonio Brown. honestly. I think he's got the best yak ability in the class. I think he's got the most expansive route tree. The thing that gets to him is that he's a senior. He's a late declare. So people will say, oh, well, he doesn't have the early declare, so that means he wasn't good enough and the NFL didn't want him. When you got Phil Jerkovich throwing you the ball for like 3 seasons of your college career, it's going to be tough for you to really stand out as a wide receiver. Antonio Brown is a lofty comp. I know you're a couple of indie guys, and I ran Zay Flowers' profile through a couple of different databases, and the guy that also came back that I think is fairly similar is T.Y. Hilton. I think T.Y. Hilton's like a fairly decent comp as well. T.Y. Hilton a little more straight line speed probably in terms of vertical routes and stuff. I think Zay Flowers is probably a better route runner, but overall, I mean, T.Y. Hilton was a leader in receiving yards for a season in the NFL, and he was a pretty competent wide receiver. So I really do think that Zay Flowers is a pretty locked in first round pick in this draft.
Yeah. And it's encouraging to hear you say that because we obviously saw what he was capable of at the combine. He's been getting a lot of buzz, but at the same time, he's been getting a lot of hate from people in like dynasty circles just because number one of the production. I think there's a lot of people that will point at that and point at their metrics and say, well, the box that you have to check for this production, and it doesn't really matter if you're at Boston College, like you said, and you don't have anybody throwing it to you. Correct. I mean, with Zay Flowers, if he were to have a T.Y. Hilton career, that would be amazing. He would be worth taking in the first round of dynasty rookie drafts. Like, he just absolutely would.
Yeah.
So, I like that comp. I totally agree. The first thing I thought when you said that was the straight line speed and the verticals. I don't see Zay Flowers being such a burner like he did, and he also probably won't have Andrew Luck thrown to him, and that kind of helped, but dang, I'm going to cry on this video about Andrew Luck. Got to stop talking about it. All right. Moving on, Josh Downs. I'll talk about Josh Downs because
go for it.
Really,
because I want to talk about Mims.
Gosh, dude.
We're not even on Mims yet.
I know. He can't even handle it. It's ridiculous. Josh Downs, obviously out of North Carolina, a guy that I was drafting in Devy Leagues last offseason. Like what I see from Josh Downs. I think he's a very safe wide receiver. He's 5'9", 171. He obviously was a junior or a sophomore this last year. Was he a sophomore or junior this last year?
He was a junior.
He was a junior this last year. That's what I thought. He ran a 4.48 at the combine, 38.5-inch vertical, and a 10.11 broad jump. So great numbers there from Josh Downs. I think his athleticism is fine for that size. I think his size is not going to be an issue. But, I mean, Josh Downs just does a lot of things well. To me, I think he's going to be a reliable receiver for whatever team drafts him. I think he's less boom or bust than some of these guys that he's listed up here with. And because of that, when you're getting Josh Downs in Dynasty rookie drafts, 111, 112, 201, 202, I think that makes him a really, really solid pick there. I think when you get him, number one, he's going to score points for your Dynasty team. And number two, he's going to hold his value really well, obviously, because he's a rookie wide receiver. So that, to me, that makes him one of the better picks at the end of the first round here. And I'm looking at Josh Downs, and I think what I see, from a year-over-year standpoint when he gets into dynasty leagues is he's probably going to be a perennial threatening wide receiver 2. Like, I don't think he has the wide receiver 1 upside that some of these guys above him have. However, I mean, you're looking at drafting him at the end of the first, early second, and you're talking about a perennial wide receiver 2. I mean, that's not bad. I mean, we short guys because, they come in their wide receiver 2s their whole career, like Terry McLaurin, and who did we just talk about?
Oh my gosh, T. Higgins.
Well, yeah, T. Higgins is a little bit better, but
yeah,
I can't remember who I'm thinking of. DJ Moore. Gosh, thank you.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, when you go back and, if you were to go back to Terry McLaurin's Dynasty rookie draft, you would take Terry McLaurin at the end of the first. Like, you would.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit earlier. So, you're talking about a guy like this at this, that's kind of where I project his production to be. I think he's a really safe pick in Dynasty rookie drafts. And then you're going to talk about Marvin Mims for a not super...
A short time.
We are already at 14 minutes, so you cannot do this. Okay.
I know. You spent time on Downs.
A minute.
Marvin Mims is taller than Josh Downs. He weighs more than Josh Downs. He's faster than Josh Downs. And his last season in college, he outproduced Josh Downs. He had less targets, so his yards per reception was almost twice that of Josh Downs. So that definitely is saying something in what Marvin Mims' skill set is going to be potentially in the NFL. But with Mims, I go back and forth between wanting to trust the general Dynasty community, and then I see some of the mistakes they make, and I could be the one that ends up making the mistake, but I think there's a chance that Marvin Mims goes over Josh Downs in the NFL draft. I just think there is, in terms of his measurables and his size and his speed, that could be more attractive to an NFL team than what Josh Downs offers. Could I be wrong on that? Absolutely.
Yeah, probably will.
That's why that's why we have them back to back.
You've got a pretty good track record of being wrong about stuff. So
yeah, so do you. So with Marvin Mims, I'll call my shot there. We've talked about him plenty, but everything we wanted him to do at the combine, he exceeded in terms of measurables and did more than we even expected. So really like what he's got going into the draft, and could see him going higher than some think.
So then what do you think about Jalen Hyatt then, who we have ranked behind these two guys? Who athletically you would probably put his profile above these two guys, and production-wise you put that above it. Because I could tell you, you might think we're professional enough to where we won't cherry-pick stats and say this is why a player is better than another, but he just did it. So sorry about that. Jeremy, you've got Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah. I mean, look, Jalen Hyatt, he ran 4.4 at the combine. He had a good broad jump. He had a good vertical. He's a good athlete. I think we all know that. 4.4 for a guy that's 6 feet, 176, and his trump card is supposed to be that he has elite level speed. He's fast. He's not elite fast, though. There's a guy on this list that ran 0.07 seconds faster than him, and he weighs almost 20 pounds more than him. So I just don't watch Jalen Hyatt and see a guy that does anything well at the wide receiver position except for run really fast in a straight line. And he was able to do that a lot at Tennessee because he lined up in the slot around 88% of the time in 2022 in stacked formations, got free releases, and by the time the corner or the safety or the linebacker or whoever was covering Jalen Hyatt was nowhere to be seen in the frame, I've never seen somebody be so wide open on so many plays. It's insane. There's no way that you could actually give a good tape review of Jalen Hyatt because he's wide open in every single play. Like it would be like, I don't know. Like I just don't see the appeal to Jalen Hyatt. I definitely don't think he's a first round pick. I think some team will take him in the first round because he fills a role in the NFL, but it's not a fantasy football role. So I'm
If he goes first round, it'll be the late first where those teams are more comfortable reaching for need anyways.
Yep.
So
So I think he will probably be like a early to mid second round pick in rookie drafts, even with the first round capital, because we saw that with guys like Jahan Dotson last year, that even though he was taken in the middle of the first round, he was in the early to mid second in dynasty rookie drafts. I think Jahan Dotson is a way, way better wide receiver than Jalen Hyatt. I don't even think it's close. But even Jalen Hyatt's analytical profile isn't very good. I mean, he had the one year this year, obviously, but the other 2 years, he didn't even step on the field. Last year in 2021, when Cedric Tillman was completely healthy, he was the beta. He had 300 receiving yards to Cedric Tillman's 1,100. So it's not even, I don't think it's even comparable who the better receiver on that team is.
Yeah. And going off of that note, obviously, and I know you're high on Cedric Tillman. We do have him in this next tier. He's the first guy here. We'll go through these next tiers here pretty quickly.
Yeah, let's talk about them together.
Cedric Tillman, bigger guy, 6'3", 213. He ran a 4.54. Wow, I'm dyslexic. 4.54, 40 yard,
5.
Yeah, 40 yard dash. He had a 37-inch vert and a 10.8 broad jump. Yeah, I mean, I think we like Cedric Tillman as much as we like Hyatt.
Yeah. Jeremy's comp for him is kind of a Michael Thomas-esque receiver. That doesn't mean his production is going to be like that in the NFL, but that's sort of his skill set. So Boutte we also have here in this tier. Obviously, his combine was horrible. There's not really much else to be said. We know what his athletic talent is from what we saw in college. It really did not reflect what he could do at the combine. I don't know what his problem was. Obviously, character issues. I think someone still probably grabs him in the third round.
Yeah.
You think he's a day 2 pick?
Rashee Rice? Yeah.
I question it. I don't think
it's a lock that he's a day 2 pick, but I think he probably will be.
I agree with where your head's at, that a GM will still stick to the scouting report that they've had on him for a couple of years now, and will potentially take him on day 2. I wouldn't be shocked if he's like a 5th round pick. Like if he's like a
I wouldn't
late
either.
comp.
I agree with you there. I wouldn't be shocked if he was either. I'm just kind of I'm still assuming that he's going to go 3rd round, especially since the amount of 1st round analysis and buzz that he was getting just 9 months ago was enough for me to think that he has the talent level for a team to take a shot on him in the 3rd. Even the compensatory section of the 3rd, like it's still the 3rd, I guess.
If you're not on our if you're not on our Discord channel, you probably don't know Ryan Bread, but Rye Bread is one of our DD consultants, and he does a lot of rookie scouting with JC. And he actually has a model that he used to do wide receivers. He's still very high on Kayshon Boutte, so I'm sure listening to this, he's probably crying when we're talking about 5th round and Kayshon Boutte. It's just the truth. But he's got good stuff too. It's another reason to subscribe to our locals page there. All right, and then after that, we've got Rashee Rice. Jeremy, any thoughts on Rashee Rice?
Rashee Rice, I was pretty surprised with his performance at the combine. I think he really did himself some favors in terms of his vertical and his 40 and his 3-cone stuff and his broad jump. So he was a much better athlete than I thought he was going to be at the combine. Senior guy, played at the Senior Bowl. Interesting part about Rashee Rice is that he's played outside and in the slot pretty extensively throughout his college career. In 2021 as a junior, he played predominantly in the slot. It was like a 93% slot share. And then in 2022, he played out wide around 80% of the time. So that's a guy that's got some scheme diversity. And he's a senior, so he's been in the offensive scheme for a while. He understands what the roles and responsibilities are. I think he's probably going to end up being a day 2 pick in the NFL.
Yeah. All right, so that's kind of the top 10 guys here that we kind of covered in depth. We're going to go ahead and put the rest of our rankings up on the screen as well for you to see. Obviously, from left to right in the D tier, it's Dontavian Wicks, Trey Palmer, Parker Washington, Xavier Hutchinson, and all of those guys. Obviously, we can't go in depth on everybody here, but then dropping down to the tier after that, we've got Tyler Scott and A.T. Perry. So those are our full wide receiver rankings. Obviously, you can get access to even more than that if you subscribe to us on Locals. That's where you get our full rookie rankings and JC's and Ryan Bread's. So it's a really nice deal there. But, with this, obviously, this is us making assumptions after the combine. And really, when you're ranking, we've said this, but when you're ranking prospects like this before the draft, we're kind of trying to predict draft capital, which is why most of our conversations today were centered around draft capital. But I think the 3 of us have had eyes on these guys from a film perspective, and we obviously watch a lot of mock drafts and stuff like that to try to get a sense of what NFL teams are thinking, because that's the most important thing. So while we aren't anywhere near professional scouts, we're trying to get the best gauge on what the buzz is, what the word is around certain prospects, and we're trying to put that all together and give it to you in a package deal. So that's kind of where it lies today. We're obviously, I think, not going to do rankings again until after the draft. We'll see, and then those will be our final rankings. So we're getting close, within 30 days, and hopefully we know who the Colts draft by then. I don't know. Why do I think Gardner Minshew is going to be our starting quarterback? Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got content like this coming out every single week leading up to the draft, and a lot of content around draft day too. So make sure you subscribe to get that. We get into 2K before draft day, by draft day. By draft day is fine. If we do it on draft day, I'll be cool. But anyways, make sure you subscribe and make sure you like the video. As always, we appreciate you joining us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.